Hey, it's Dan. Today I'm going to show you how I made this woodshed, so stick around. This is the other person who lives in my house. We'll call her Mrs. X. Lately, Mrs. X has expressed concerns about fire prevention. Now, there's some justification for this. We live in a forest, and I have a habit of collecting flammable materials. Mrs. X has a list of things she wants to change around the property. My wood collection was at the top of her list. For years I kept scrap wood under the front stairs, and I had my live edge slabs under the deck. So Mrs. X gave me an ultimatum: either get rid of the wood or store it more safely. Yep, so that was my big project this summer, building a woodshed in the corner of our property. I wish I had recorded the building process, but unfortunately I couldn't produce videos back then. But I did take some stills. The first challenge was getting the site prepared. The location had a significant slope which had to be leveled out. You can't really tell from the camera angle, but the upper end of the slope was almost 4 feet higher than where I'm sitting. It would have been really nice to have a dingo with a backhoe attachment, but that rental would have blown my budget. So shoveling it was. Once I leveled the grade, I started working on the retaining wall. Someone on Craigslist was giving away chunks of broken concrete. I managed to grab about 7 tons, which would have been nice to move with a dingo, but no, it was just me and my aching back. It's hard to tell from this pic, but the first course of blocks is sitting on 18 inches of gravel. That gravel footing drains off water, helping to minimize frost heave. As I set each course, I backfilled with more gravel, again to promote drainage. Here's the retaining wall further along. Normally it's kind of sketchy dry stacking cement chunks over 3 feet, but I felt I can get away with it here because I was filling gaps with mortar after stacking. Here are the posts and roof going up. The cinder blocks make a 14 by 8 foot foundation. My measurements suggested that my wood would take up nearly every cubic inch of space. You don't actually walk into the shed. The interior space is taken up entirely with racks. I tried to keep the costs down. I used my existing wood supply as much as possible, and I scoured Craigslist for free salvaged lumber. Actually, one of the best sources was our big box store. They were giving away these 4-foot lumber spacers. It took a whole lot of trips to the freebie bin, but I managed to grab about 100 of these 2x3s. I could go on about how my design minimized waste by matching the structural dimensions to the size of the actual materials, but I'll spare you those nerdy details. So here's how things look at this point in time. I put my wood in, and sure enough, it pretty much fills things to the rafters. Now you remember Mrs. X and her list of fire prevention measures? You probably figured out this structure is no more fire resistant than stacking wood outside. The next step will be to design metal walls for the shed. We'll save that for a future video.
Hey, are you still filming? You know, I never signed a video release. Turn that thing off. You gotta turn off that camera right now.